Henry bent down to tie his shoelaces, his fingers steady, his breath even. He wasn't fast, but he didn't need to be. At 80 years old, just being able to do it, without groaning, without wobbling, without asking for help was its own quiet victory. The morning air was crisp in the park, and the sun lit the grass in golden hues. He stood, adjusted his cap, and began his walk. He did this every morning, rain or shine, not because someone told him to, not because it was part of some health regimen, but because it made him feel alive. The path wound through the park, past the duck pond, under old sycamores, and around the baseball field where neighborhood kids played on Saturdays. Henry had walked it for over 20 years. These days, other park goers would wave at him and say, "Still going, Henry?" And he'd smile and wave back, "Still going." His wife, Margaret, had passed 7 years earlier. She used to walk with him, arm in arm. After she was gone, the silence had nearly swallowed him whole. But walking had helped, one foot in front of the other. That's how he learned to live again. As he passed the bench near the pond, he waved to Dolores and Mark, another older couple, bundled in coats and sipping coffee from a thermos. They'd become friends in the last year, trading jokes, comparing blood pressure readings, and occasionally sharing stories of their grandchildren. When Henry got home, he hung up his jacket, poured himself a cup of black coffee, and sat down at the old wooden desk in the corner of his living room. The desk had once belonged to his father, and the grooves in the surface told stories of a lifetime of writing and work. Henry pulled out a fresh sheet of paper and picked up his pen. He still wrote letters, handwritten ones. Not because he refused to use email, he had a tablet and knew how to FaceTime, but because there was something timeless about a real letter, something more personal. Today's letter was for his great-grandson, Jamie, who had just turned 7. He told him about the ducks he saw this morning, about the squirrel who stole someone's sandwich, and reminded him that being kind mattered more than being clever. Then he tucked the letter into an envelope, added a stamp, and set it aside to mail later. Every Tuesday and Thursday, Henry taught a creative writing class at the community center. He wasn't paid, didn't want to be. He did it because it gave him purpose. Sharing stories, encouraging others to find their voice, gave him more satisfaction than anything else these days. Last week, one of his students, a shy widow in her 60s, read a story out loud for the first time. Henry had clapped the loudest. His afternoons were often quiet, but never idle. He read, he gardened, he sometimes painted, though he joked that he still couldn't get noses right. He had learned years ago that staying curious was the key to feeling young. He didn't chase after youth the way others did. He didn't need to dye his hair or join a gym. He just kept moving, thinking, connecting. That was it, really, the 3 things. Keep moving, keep thinking, keep connecting. That's what it meant to win at life, he thought. Moving didn't mean running marathons. It meant walking, standing up without pain, dancing a little when the mood struck. It meant still being able to mow his own lawn, even if it took longer than it used to. It meant independence, and independence was dignity. Thinking didn't mean solving equations or mastering a new language, though he admired those who tried. For him, thinking meant staying mentally present, engaged, curious, reading the paper, questioning the world, writing stories, debating with friends about what made a good book or whether history ever really repeated itself. And connecting was the most important. It was easy to let the world shrink after a certain age. Friends passed, families moved away, the phone rang less often. But connection had to be fought for. Henry called people. He sent letters. He smiled at strangers. He taught his class. He made time for anyone who needed a listener. He knew that connection kept the soul from hardening, from drying out. That night, Henry joined his daughter Laura and her husband for dinner. He brought a bottle of wine, though he only sipped it. His grandchildren were there too. Teenagers now, half glued to their phones, but still sweet enough to hug him and ask how he was doing. After dinner, as they sat by the fire, his grandson asked, "Grandpa, how do you stay so, I don't know, together?" Henry laughed. "You think I've got it all figured out?" "Pretty much," the boy replied. Henry thought for a moment. "I keep doing 3 things. I move every day. I learn or think about something every day. And I talk to someone I care about every day. That's it." His daughter looked over from the armchair. "That's really it." That's really it, Henry said. It's not about feeling young, it's about feeling alive. When he went home that night, he sat on his porch for a while, listening to the wind rustling through the trees. The stars blinked in the clear sky. He thought about Margaret and hoped she'd be proud of how he was carrying on. He thought about Jamie and how one day he'd be 82. He hoped someone would tell him the same thing he'd said tonight. Keep moving, keep thinking, keep connecting. Henry smiled, stood up, and walked inside. He had won the day, not with glory or fanfare, but in the quiet way that mattered most.